I'd like to see you try that again. Your size does not intimidate me. Funny same. Quote, Springer and Proximus, a new ally, may be the only hope Dirac and Solia have of surviving the wastelands. Presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, Void Rivals, Volume 1, Issue 9, The Energon Universe. Dirac rushes to the aid of Solia, who has miraculously survived being impaled with her own spear. While the spear missed any vital organs, she risks bleeding out if she tries to remove it, so she retracts the spear into her body to stem the bleeding. Handroid informs the pair that the solar windstorm has brought them much closer to the midpoint they were searching for, and they resume their search for Dirac's oasis. Meanwhile, Skutzoid returns home eager to see his wife and children. However, upon entering the dark, empty house, he remembers they are no longer around. He sits down at the dinner table alone, head in his hand. Dirac and Solia continue their trek. Solia suddenly collapses, having lost too much blood from her wound. Dirac hoists her onto his shoulder and carries her the rest of the way. Just as Dirac is about to collapse from exhaustion himself, he spies an old Edgeworker exosuit, the same one he was piloting years ago. Realizing they have made it to the oasis, a small shelter with discarded bits of technology and a green and yellow vehicle, Dirac frantically searches for help from someone. When he questioned by Handroid, Dirac reveals that he was delirious and barely conscious the last time he was here. He was just barely able to crawl towards the shelter, only catching a glimpse of something strange before blacking out and waking up in Agoria. Dirac turns his attention back to Solia when he hears the sound of whirring and shifting gears behind him. He looks up to find the Autobot Springer standing above him, offering aid. However, Springer mistook their armored forms for fellow mechanical life, and upon realizing that they are organics, he is unsure how to help. Still, he offers to provide whatever support he can, but is interrupted by a faint whistling quickly approaching them. An arrow from Proximus lands in front of them and explodes, knocking Dirac prone. Proximus then arrives and attacks Springer. Springer grabs his sword and warns the hunter not to try that again. Proximus, unintimidated, attacks. While Springer has the advantage in terms of size, Proximus is much faster and able to maneuver around the Autobot quickly. Proximus aims his arrow at Springer and shoots. The arrow hits Springer in his head. At first, Springer does not take Proximus seriously, but that quickly changes as he winds his sword back. Proximus says, "You are too big to move that fast." The Transformer and the Assassin then trade blows. Springer comes down with the sword, but Proximus somewhat blocks the attack. Springer seems to be going a little easy on Proximus as the next strike misses. Proximus climbs up the sword, ready to counterattack. As Proximus climbs the sword, he shoots arrows at Springer. When Springer grabs Proximus, the Assassin releases an electrical bolt, forcing Springer to let go. Proximus continues shooting arrows, but the proton arrows prove to be more of an annoyance than a serious threat to the Transformer. As the two continue to fight, Dirac tends to Solia. Handroid indicates that her pulse is dropping. As Dirac desperately checks her body, he finds a green key Mistress Vil gave her. On Quintessa, a Quintessian scientist summons the judge to report his finding after examining the composite ship they acquired from Skutzoid. The scientists report that one of their alloys used in the ship's construction contains material that dates back to ancient Cybertron, and believes that the Zertonian Skutzoid mentioned could be connected to Zertotron. The judge pauses for a moment before the electrocuting the scientist, speaking the name has long been forbidden. Notes: Skutzoid returns home from meeting up with his old buddy Flizzardo and the Autobot Hot Rod in the Void Rival story from the Energon Universe Special 2024, released early in the same month as this issue. In that story, Hot Rod mentions that he is searching for an ally of his, likely alluding to Springer. Dirac piloting the Edgewalker and getting lost in the wasteland was seen in issue 7. Upon seeing Springer transform, Handroid references their meeting with Jetfire from issue 1. He's notably that Springer, unlike Jetfire, is wearing the Autobot logo, meaning that he arrived on the sacred ring after the Autobot Decepticon war broke out after Jetfire disappeared. The mysterious key Dirac finds on Solia was given to her by Mistress Vil back in issue 5. The Quintessence received Dirac and Solia's composite ship, which they completed in issue 2, from Skutzoid in issue 6. Zerta, the goddess of the Zertonians, has been mentioned throughout the series up to this this point, coupled with the Transformers connotations of Trion, plus the quintessential references to her in issue 6, the implication would seem to be that this suppose is actually a Cybertronian. Springer makes his Energon Universe debut in this issue. Zerta Trion, of course, calls to mind the character of Alpha Trion, the wise sage from Cybertronian's past who frequently appears as a mentor of Optimus Prime in Generation 1 cartoon. Trion was a member of the Autobot rebellion which overthrew the Quintessence. Springer's appearance this issue marks the first time a Transformers character appearance in Void Rivals was not kept a secret, with the cover to the comic revealed on Skybound social media ahead of solicitation. Next, presented by Skybound Entertainment, distributed by Image Comics, Void Rivals, Volume 1, Issue 10, The Energon Universe.